スバルも何も心配してない。私は凛太郎くんを信じてる。そんなあなたが大切だっていう人たちなら、私も信じる。なんなら私たちも友達になりたいよね、スバル。
7 Fragrant Flower Blooms, and what an emotional roller coaster, what an emotional episode of Fragrant Flower. You know, one of the things that you have to give, and this is no pun intended, but you have to give flowers where flowers are deserved, is it's very few far in between where anime really nails friendship and being young, you know? And I've talked about this in other anime in the past, but one of the things that Fragrant Flower Blooms does really well is, you know, it's all about Rintaro, and it's about Rintaro navigating, kind of finding out who he is as a person, what matters to him, what's friendship mean, what does potential relationship romantically mean with 𝐒𝐻𝐻, you know, what does his newfound relationship mean with Subaru. And I absolutely love the way that he went about it this episode. But like, this was about like boys being boys, right? And having that like male to male friendship energy. And, you know, the way that men navigate friendship and relationships is drastically different than the opposite side. I can't speak to that side, but you know, men, we kind of hold our feelings to our chest. We're not, you know, emotional creatures by nature. We don't do well with the mushy gushy, right? So the moment that this episode where you have Saku and he's like, hey, I'm gonna say this once, bro, and like that is it. And he talks about how, you know, how much Rintaro means to him and that he trusts him, and him, 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐸, and Ayato, like they're at the same level. Like he doesn't view them any different. Like he has his full trust in them. And for Rintaro, that was like a breakdown moment of emotionality, because out of the three, Saku was kind of like that hardest nut to crack. And obviously Rintaro cries a little bit. He gets it in his emotions, but he just wants to be seen and heard. And because of the experiences that he's had kind of through his life, just those two simple things have just not happened for him. So it was just a cool bro moment, you know, that he got to experience, and you love to see it, right? Because even though you have the school rivalry and you have like the school whatever and they hate each other, you know, his bros can push past that for their buddy, you know what I mean? Like, and at the end of the day, like they don't really care, you know, that 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐸 kid, he's all about girls. So it's like, it's one of those things to where it's a silly rivalry, but it's not really like, it doesn't really matter at the end of things, which it shouldn't, because like school rivalries, that's stupid. Like there's been, I remember when I was in high school, like we had a football rivalry, you know, when we would go play, you know, a certain school, when we would play them in football, or I remember playing them, well, football specifically was the biggest one, but play them in football, and play them in soccer. And it was just like a big, like, you know, people get really excited about it. But at the same time, I had a few friends from that school as well too. It's one of those things to where it's like, it's in the moment. Like you definitely want to be like, you know, like, you know, NBA or football teams or whatever. But it's like, you know, hey, if I'm a, like, you know, I'm a this fan, it doesn't mean I can't be a friend with a that fan. You know what I mean? Like that certain people do work that way, and it is dumb. But in the reality of things, like, it doesn't really matter, you know, like political views, all kinds of other things. Now, going back, so not only was that like a big growth for Rintaro, but then it was a big growth for him two ways. Because, you know, he got to mend his relationship with his three buddies, and his three buddies were able to, you know, go there. And thankfully, 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐸 actually admitted that they were following him, because it made that whole conversation with all three of them a lot easier, because they already knew his feelings towards it. So I thought that was really awesome that he let it slip, but at the same time, it worked out in a good way. But then it was also Rintaro's growth from furthering his romantic relationship, well, potential romantic relationship with 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐸. You know, he was able to meet with 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐸 and Subaru and let them know, like, hey, you both are really important to me. And obviously one's in a romantic sense and one's in a friendship sense. And he's like, I really want to bring my boys in this. Like they really matter to me. And I would love if you guys were friends with them too. But even if that's not the case, I want you guys to be okay with them knowing that I'm here, you know, being a friend with you guys, blah, 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 blah. So I love how he kind of like, I guess you could say in a way, ask for permission, but that's a big deal, right? Because, you know, on Karako's end, you know, she's navigating a scholarship and a certain lifestyle that she truly does need to protect, and it does really matter the people that she surrounds herself with. And on the other end, Subaru is a kind of a different thing because she's just more reserved. She doesn't give out friendship at all, you know, and the school hate does hit her a little different just because of her personal experiences. So having somebody recognize all of that, you know, that is now your new friend, but also kind of asking you like, hey, would this be okay? Like, I want to make sure, like, if it's not, then I won't even go down that avenue. You know, that says a lot to people, you know, for like, it just kind of shows them that they care that much to even ask you to begin with, because most people wouldn't, you know? So I kind of love that it was Rintaro's growth from like more than two ways. And then obviously their school festival, cute stuff there and everything. And the show really showed that even when they don't completely just focus on Karako and Rintaro, that it can still be it can still capture all of those feels in other avenues of the show. So again, Fragrant Flower continues to be just an awesome show, and I just think that, you know, being able to capture those moments of being younger is something that a lot of anime really struggle with, and I think this one really, really nailed it. So loved it. Another great week. So this was episode number 7 of Fragrant Flower. I hope to see you guys next week for episode number 8. Have a good rest of your weekend or whenever you watch this, and I'll see you guys then. Peace.